let's talk about RH specifically. Now, I will say this is not the most interesting topic to me. I don't really care. I more care about like what the guy creates and stuff like that.
Right.
But I mean, we saw like the outrage marketing stuff, which I think you're confident, which I am too, that never was actually him. You know, I mean, for anybody that has kind of watched him since like Top Hat days and prior to Hex and stuff, I mean, clearly that isn't really what he is like. It seems, you know, how he was. I mean, the outrage marketing, Richard.
Right.
And then he made a tweet the other day, right after the announcement of the documentary of, you know, the old that what you see in that the old me died. I'm humble now. Whatever. Again, I couldn't think of a less interesting topic in terms of this ecosystem. I don't care what the person's like. If he's creating cool stuff, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But I don't really think the outrage marketing him in that documentary was ever him at all. That's why we're calling it outrage marketing. I think that frankly, I think him acting that way, as cringy as it is in that documentary, and as much as people, like you said, Ewok, that already hate him are going to hate him even more and think that we're even dumber for investing in it, whatever, they're never going to change their opinion anyway. Nope. So I would rather have this wacky guy, you know, the people will dub like the Donald Trump of crypto or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of that. I don't care what kind of weird shit he says in it. So
yeah, I am too. And you know, it was an act. Many times he would say, "Look, man, I'm dressing up like a clown. What do you want from me?" You know, he tested the waters. He knew what hit the hardest. And I really think his Twitter doubled in the time that he was doing it. I know he's even gotten completely rid of the Instagram. And I know that platform is all about that stuff, the flashy stuff, the cars, the watches, the jewelry. But that got eyes on him. They came to Twitter. It did what it was meant to do. And I don't have a problem with it. He did go a little over the top, you know, talking about his dick, and, you know, people don't want to hear that. If you want to show jewelry, cars, fancy stuff like that, I mean, I just think for a portion of people, they're going to turn it off right then and there. He's like, I got a big dick, and that's what they say, and it's like, oh, that's enough for me. So I think you're going to lose a fair amount of people. But again, do we want those people anyway? I mean, you have to be open-minded enough to listen to somebody, hear what they're saying. So I don't know. You know, it did exactly what he intended it to do. It got eyes on him. It got eyes on the product. And he stopped. I think he realized also that during the bull market, it was fine. You know, right. Prices were going up, spending money on watches and cars and all this good stuff during a bull market. But it almost felt like, to some people, I think he was rubbing their face in it as the prices were going down and people's portfolios were looking worse and worse and worse. And here he is still blowing money. I think that's where the people got rubbed the wrong way. So at that point, I think he kind of backed off, tapered off a little bit, and then realized that, you know, it was no longer necessary. And that part of him died, like he said.
Yeah. I think he has long wanted, we've talked about this before, but long wanted to shake out weak hands as quickly as possible.
Sure.
Because then, you know, you feel like when you've bottomed, it's more reliable, and not only reliable in the sense that, like, you confirm it's the bottom, but also reliable in that, man, the rest of these people holding are true and utter psychos that are not going to sell. You know what I mean? And I think that's happened recently with HEX in a way, you know, and people that held HEX the whole way through. I mean, I think of December of last year when we were hitting the HEX lows at that time prior to Pulse Chain being released of 1.7, 1.8 cents. I mean, like that, there was just, I don't know that there was a darker time in the bear market. I mean, he you know what? This might actually be worse. He wasn't even out there doing a lot of outrage stuff. He was just like dead silent. And it was just, you know, HEX going down to its new lows in the bear market. But to me that, and I was like so excited to buy those numbers and everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, the people that realized like I'm getting a copy of all of this on Pulse Chain when it comes out, which happened 5 months later, 4.5 months later, or something like that, when people were afraid it was never going to happen. I mean, yeah, it's just, you have the conviction in who is still holding when you get those lows like that, I think. So,
Yeah, and it goes to show too that you know, if Richard was a scammer, you know, I've heard other people say this too, and I never really thought about it this way. Why would he go through all that work to release a layer one if he was going to scam people? I mean, that's a lot of work, a lot of developers. You know, people say, "Oh, all he did was copy and paste ETH, ETH 2.0." But honestly, there was a lot more involved than just a copy paste. So, if he was a scammer, I think he would have picked an easier method or created a newer coin or something like that to take people's money. And obviously, it didn't happen with Hex. Obviously, it's not going to happen with Pulse. People just need to get over it and move on from the Richard Heart's a scammer, because we still have yet to produce any victims. I still don't think anybody has come forward other than they got a bad deal in price and it went down. That happens with any market, but I don't think anybody's come forward and or had proof that they were ever scammed by Richard or any of his products. So
no, nothing real. Anytime it's been somebody that's scammed, it's just some dumb who, you know, emergency instaked or just bought high and sold low, or just did something dumb themselves that don't understand markets really. But